Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew, as always with Venushan to talk some more basketball. And this week we are talking playoffs, play-ins. We're just gonna take a look at the current standings, like what would happen if the playoffs started today. Obviously, especially the East is like very bottlenecked right now, so this is very subject to change. But I think it's just a good time to like check in on like how we feel about how some of these teams could realistically do in a deep playoff run. Let's start in the East. But before we get into the actual like 1-8 matchup, let's talk about who's actually going to be in that 8 spot. Let's talk about the play-ins. Right now, the 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, the 7, 8, 9, 10 is the Raptors, Nets, Hornets, and Hawks in that order. So if the play-ins started right now, it would be Raptors versus Hawks, right? No,
it'll be Raptors versus Nets.
Nets, right? And then Hornets, Hawks. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Okay, so Raptors, Nets would be a very interesting play-in. Not good for us as Raptors fans. But what do you think? Let's say that Kyrie's right now Kyrie would play because it would take place in Toronto, right?
No, he wouldn't.
Wait, remember he can play every away game except Toronto, right? Okay,
except Toronto, yeah.
But let's assume that I think by then
he might
be able. So let's assume he's gonna play. Yeah. I don't know if OG's back and like all those guys are back. Like I can see the Raptors putting up a good fight. It's one game. Anything can happen in one game. But I mean, the Nets are obviously the better team when fully loaded.
And at the end of the day, when you say one game, you kind of just choose the best player, and the best player on the court is Kevin Durant. So I say let's give the Nets the 7th seed and put Kevin Durant and the Nets winning this play-in matchup.
Okay. I agree with that. Yeah. Raptors, again, I think could pose a lot of problems for them, like Nets for the Nets defensively. But then again, like they have Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and presumably Ben Simmons, who hasn't played yet for some reason. But let's give the Nets a 7 seed. That means the Raptors would have to beat
the Hornets or Hawks,
winner of the Hornets Hawks. So let's talk about that matchup. Hornets Hawks. I'm gonna go with the best player, which is Trae Young, in that matchup. So
I just think the Hornets, as good as they are, the defense is still non-existent. They don't play defense. And I think the Hawks, I think they can well together a team. And when they shorten their rotation, when players actually are like, oh, it's the playoffs, let's actually try on defense, right. Like how John Collins did last season, and he became a pretty good defender. I think once all that stuff starts taking away, the rotation shorter, people trying on defense, the 3-ball falling a little better, and having Trae Young the best player, I think the Hawks will get in there and verse the Raptors for the potential of the 8th seed. And the Hornets, I think they're having another great season. I think this is exactly how it happened last year. They're a 9th seed, lost the play-in, missed the playoffs. And I think they will address their biggest issue, which is trading PJ Washington and a pick, or maybe 2 picks to get a center. And I think they will do that this offseason, especially with people like Mo Bamba, Mitchell Robinson, both RFAs, and then people like Miles Turner potentially being in the trade rumors. I think they'll definitely address that this offseason and get much better next season. Because if with a center, this could be a top 6 seed. It's a 5 seed.
Yeah, it feels to me like the Hornets are right where we expected them to be, and the Hawks are much lower than we expected them to be. So we know the Hawks have that talent or the ability to flip that switch, and maybe, and it could basically come down to, in the 1-game situation, like if you're betting, you're going to bet on the team with the better player, and Trae Young is clearly the best player out of those 2 teams. So let's say that it's Raptors Hawks to get into the 8th seed. This would presumably be in Toronto because the Raptors are currently the higher seed. I might be biased, but I'm going to go with the Raptors. I think they're a more well-rounded 2-way team with more depth, better bench, better coached, better leadership. I think veteran leadership. But I think it would be a good game too. I wouldn't necessarily be comfortable when that game's starting.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the worst matchup for the Hawks, as in like we have Fred VanVleet, who's going to be one of the best defenders on Trae Young. We have great wing defenders in OG, Gary Trent Jr., locking up, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter. And then we also have solid, like, pseudo, like 4-5 to match up with John Collins, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. And then we could just attack them on every front. We could kind of spread out and let Freddie just go one-on-one with Trae Young. Oh, now they're not putting Trae Young on him. They're putting him on Gary. Okay, spread out, like Gary go one-on-one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just the whole one lineup, the whole like starting lineup is able to go one-on-one and play. And I think they will pull it off just because that extra defense, that extra energy, being in home court.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to get it through. But yeah, I think it's going to be close. And if we weren't fans, we might be saying just go with the best player. But I think the Raptors will be a playoff team this year.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis. The thing that's weird to me is the Raptors this season playing in front of their own fans have been so bad. They've been brutal. Like they've played so much better on the road and in front of no fans than they have with fans. It's the weirdest thing.
Well,
like
to be fair to the Raptors players, there's only been fans for like
that's true. Very small sample size. Yeah.
Very small sample size.
Yeah.
Like so, it's not really like they had fans. They're better playing against fans that boo them away.
Yeah. It's weird.
Rather than playing against empty arena. So maybe they just feed off energy, and now that we're actually getting home court back together, it can help out the Raptors. But the Raptors home court has always been complemented by players like LeBron, everyone who comes through with the Jurassic Park stuff, and with these one game play-in situations, the fans will show up. Playing Jurassic Park will be packed out. It'll be fun to see, and hopefully we avoid it because we're only 2 games behind the Cavaliers. But it's been looking rough without Fred VanVleet right now. So Freddie and OG both have to return soon because this Raps team and Malachi Flynn's out now too, and they just signed Amari Brooks. So yeah, this Raptors team is struggling with injuries. Hopefully everyone comes back and they can make that push to the 6th seed to avoid this whole play-in debacle. Yeah.
Okay, so that would set up a first-round matchup of the 1 seed Miami Heat versus our 8 seed Toronto Raptors in this scenario, which is just something like you can't even make this stuff up. Like it feels like it's out of a movie. The first season of Kyle Lowry not being a Raptor, meeting them in the first round. He hasn't even made his Toronto return debut back to the fans. Maybe that would even happen in the playoffs. Like that would be insane. But yeah, the very emotional series, obviously. And I think when the Raptors are at their best, when they're not injured like they are right now, like if they were playing like they were pre-All-Star break, I really think they can stack up with almost any team in the NBA. And they kind of match up well with the Heat, in my opinion. They're just really deep, really, really well-rounded, really two-way. Everyone can shoot. Everyone can score when they need to. I think it'd be a really good series. The Heat are better with their top-end talent. They have the guy who's going to win 6th Man of the Year in Tyler Hero. But I really do think it would be a pretty tightly contested series.
Yeah. The last 3 games they played were amazing games. Overtime, close, hard fought for, amazing games to watch. One of the funnest games to watch this season as a Raptors fans. But at the end of the day, Kyle Lowry didn't play in those games. Bam only played 1 or 2 of those games. And they're just better. And if they're fully healthy, they're going to have the same safe as us. So even though I think it's going to be a great series, a hard-fought series, a fun series, I, like even the most Raptors fans, have the Heat in 6.
Yeah, Heat in 6. I can see it going 7. I just think like, I don't know, like, it'd be really fun. The Raptors, like I said, when they're at their best, Pascal Siakam has been
All-star
this is the best he's ever played in his career. Like like pre-All-Star, the last 2.5 months of Pascal Siakam and OG, when he comes back and Fred, All-Star Fred, Scotty Barnes is only getting better, getting more used to the game.
Per game,
Yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, the Heat are deeper. The Heat are better in their top 3. So this is definitely, I would definitely take Heat, but 6 or 7 for sure. I'll go 6.
And that's good for the Raptors. I think if you told them like, hey, Scotty Barnes is going to be in rookie contention, Freddie's going to be an All-Star, Pascal Siakam is going to play like his All-NBA self again, OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. are going to make leaps and become better starters. And also say Malachi Flynn's going to show flashes of being a great backup point guard.
Yeah.
Precious is going to show flashes of being a great backup center. If you tell all that stuff's going to happen at the start of the season, you're going to be happy with that. And you're going to say you're going to push the number 1 seed Miami Heat to 6 games, maybe even 7. I think we'll take that. And I think it's a good, successful season. And besides that, this season's about growth. It's going to have a little ups and downs. They're currently in a down with the 2 injuries to Freddie and OG, and the team losing to sub 500 teams. But this team and Scotty Barnes and this whole season has been fun to watch, and it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, the season's going actually a lot better than I expected it to. I mean, especially as it was going in the first 1 or 2 months there, it was pretty rough. But yeah, like this is the Raptors that we're used to seeing. This is the Raptors of old. Yeah, even if they lose in the first round, you know what? I really do think it'll be a successful season. Let's move on. Let's go to the 2-7 matchup, which is the Sixers and the Nets in our current scenario. Which another like you can't make this stuff up, right?
Dream matchup.
This crazy James Harden versus his old team, Ben Simmons, playing the Sixers in a playoff series. Insane. I guess I'll give my prediction first. I'm gonna take the Nets in that series just because they have Kevin Durant.
Really?
I think Kevin Durant's. Oh, I don't know, but like, I don't know. I'm gonna take the Nets in 7. That's my pick. Nets in 7.
I have Sixers in 6, and the reason for that is
6.
I just don't think the chemistry issues, like the gelling for the Nets, is not going to be able to happen this season. Kyrie Irving has only played a certain amount of games. Ben Simmons is going to come after March 10th, confirmed by Woj, so he's going to have a month, and then Kevin Durant just returned like 2 days ago. So you have you have a whole brand new player who's going to be your 3rd best player getting initiated in April, a month before the playoffs. You're getting Kyrie Irving back full time in April, a month before the playoffs. It's just too much gelling to happen. And it's not like a Denver situation where these guys have been together last season and they got hurt this season and they're returning. Because Jamal Murray and MPJ had to be reissued into the team. But they've been there last season. They know how to play Jokic, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, these guys don't have that. And I think this season, I think even the Nets GM knows it's like, Kevin Durant, you're amazing. If you go win the championship this year, then there's your top 10 case and him becoming a top 10 player over a couple people. But it's going to be tough for them to win it this year. This is literally like, they had the talent. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But the chemistry is a real thing. And I've never seen in my NBA mind, I can't remember a team that won a championship with such a massive trade and such big situations happen so late into the season.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. I just think I would pick them in this series. Yeah. And the reason is, I just think I don't really see how anyone on the Sixers who can guard Kevin Durant. And now there's no one on the Nets who can guard Joel Embiid either. Yeah. And if it just comes down to the best player, which I still think Kevin Durant is, even though Embiid is MVP maybe going to win MVP this year. Yeah. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I think maybe Ben Simmons. I don't even know if Ben Simmons has a chip on, if he is even capable of playing with a chip on his shoulder, if he even has that kind of mentality. But if he does, and he actually really tries to lock down James Harden, I think that would be,
or Joel Embiid.
Or Embiid, right? That's, I think that could be the secret weapon, because the Sixers currently don't. I mean, Matisse Thybulle is a great defender, don't get me wrong, but they don't really have that one guy, that one wing guy they can just throw on, whether it's an Embiid, whether it's a Harden, or whatever. But again, a lot of that, like you said, if I think you would probably agree with me if this were a full season of this Nets team against the full season of the Sixers team. So maybe I'm underplaying the chemistry issues, but I don't think Kevin Durant's necessarily a player that requires too much chemistry. I think he's just that good offensively. But I don't know. You never know.
It's just with history, man. You just don't see teams like this be successful right away. It's gonna be a next season type thing, and I think they know that. And you can't say if they had the chemistry, because if they had chemistry, James Harden's not requesting a trade, right?
Yeah,
that was one of the big reasons why we forced the trade and forced to move out. So, we're talking about a whole different situation, right? We're talking about probably the first seed that's winning a championship. That would be very boring. The chemistry issues is what led us to the situation. And man, James Harden and Joel Embiid together have been amazing. They've been, in my opinion, almost perfect. Tyrese Maxey, ever since James Harden came into the fold, has become an all-star level player. He's
Yeah.
scoring like what 22 on like insane shooting, like 40, 40, 60 or something. Like
Yeah.
it's insane. Like he's 40, 40, 80. So it's shooting like insane stats. He's becoming one of the best players. And that's with 2 MVPs slash the MVP this year, Joel Embiid. It's going to be fun to watch. And they still have a good defense. I know they don't have Ben Simmons anyway, but they still have, Joel Embiid who can still anchor a defense and, really be a very dominant defensive center paired alongside Matisse Thybulle, who could essentially be the best. He's an all NBA first team defender. So I still think they have a good enough defense where I think they're going to win this series. And I have them at 6. The only reason I have 2 games going for them is purely Kevin Durant. I think he's going to have 2 60-point games and win in 2 games. But I just think chemistry is huge, man.
No, you're right. That makes sense. Kevin Durant, like we've seen those solo performances that he can put on.
Yeah.
And if they get any help, like if he gets any help defensively, if Kyrie does anything.
Yeah, Kyrie's a 25 point scorer last year.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And the thing is, like, we all know Ben Simmons, like, if you use him in the right way, he can be an offensive weapon, not only a defensive weapon. But that's not the kind of thing you just plug in a month before the season and you completely figure it out. So you might be right, but I just love those one-man shows that Kevin Durant puts on. Let's move on to the next matchup, which we have right now. The Cavs coming at everyone's favorite team this year. The Cavs are in the 6th seed and they'd be going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't really know how I feel about this. I think the Bucks are definitely going to win. I'm going to say Bucks in like 5, maybe. I don't know, about 5 or 6.
Me and you agree. I have Bucks in 5 too, but a lot of people are going to outplay this and say this is the best wall that Giannis is ever going to go up against. And I'm so happy, Giannis, if he gets this matchup, because he could show how much he's evolved. Yeah. He could show how much he got better since the Raptors and Heat series, because he made huge improvements last season, last playoffs, and this season. And it's just being underrated. And it's just being all given to Drew Holiday, saying, Drew Holiday is a great player, great defender. But he was shooting horribly last playoffs when they won the championship.
So bad.
So this is the matchup that, is easy for them. So obviously the Bucks don't want it. And this is the matchup that Giannis wants narratively, because this is the best wall that he go up against. And he's evolved. Me and you see that. A lot of, like Stephen A. Smith was saying, we know Giannis is here, but how high can Ja Morant go? Giannis is like top 10 resume at his age right now.
Yeah.
All time. Like, this is insane. He probably has the best resume at his age right now, all time. Yeah. So this guy's literally on time to be an all-time GOAT. And I have him winning this series, and I have him, spoiler alert, I have him going far this playoffs, because I think he has that much improvement in his game.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, you look at the wall they can throw: Jared Allen, of Mobley, Markkanen, Okoro, like
crazy. Best wall
Kevin
ever.
Love, like not Kevin Love's not a great defender, but it's a really good wall, but it's also a relatively inexperienced wall. It's pretty young, right?
Thin
and
wall.
Like you look at the walls that have had success against Giannis, it was like Marc Gasol, Kawhi Leonard, right? Like really experienced. Jimmy Butler, Bam, not just athletic, but very, very experienced. Not any disrespect to the Cavs. I don't want to overhype that. I don't think you should give too much stock into that. I don't know. I agree with you. Giannis is going to be on a mission here. Giannis has that monkey off his back of winning the championship, and I think I think this is going to be a pretty quick victory for the Bucks. But I mean, just making the playoffs is such a win for the Cavs, in my opinion.
Making the playoffs while losing Rubio, Sexton, and all those guys and all the injuries. And, they're happy with the season. Mobley having a rookie of the year case, Garland and Jared Allen both going for most improved awards, defensive player of the year awards. They're happy with this. And they're going to be much happy next year when they actually bring in like Sexton back. Levert gets a whole year of chemistry, under the team. Maybe even Rubio returning back. It's going to be a very fun team to watch next year. And next year, Cavs can actually do some damage. This year, they're happy with what happened, happy how much growth they showed. But the champions are moving forward.
Yeah, like you said, there's just too much. Giannis has too much help. Like Drew Holiday did not shoot well. Was not a good offensive player in their championship run.
Yeah.
And if he just makes a few shots a game, if
It's gonna be a
Middleton just
lot
makes a few
easier.
shots a game, Bobby Portis, it's Giannis has not an easy job. It's never an easy job in the playoffs, but
Yeah.
yeah. And another thing I think is we've seen this kind of happen in recent years where a team that's like young and has a lot of confidence and just plays hard every single game in the regular season is going to win a lot of games. And
Yeah.
then when it gets to playoff time and like it's a lot of half court and it's a lot of like you have 7 games, 2 weeks to just like
Yeah.
really pick apart the weaknesses in the other team, it just kind of starts falling apart. Like we kind of saw that with the Knicks last time. So yeah, I think that might happen a little bit with the Cavs, but yeah.
And it's tough for them because you have Drew Holiday guarding Garland, and you have
Yeah.
Giannis on Jared Allen. Like that's the 2 best defenders on your 2 best offensive players, right?
Right.
Like it's gonna be tough. And then
Yeah.
they have like extra size in Middleton going on top of Levert, right? It's just a lot of size. It's a tough matchup for them.
Yeah.
They're a tough matchup for anyone. I'm pretty sure if you just tell them they lose to the defending champions Bucks in like 5 or 6, I'm pretty sure every Cleveland fan will be happy with that season.
Agreed. Okay, let's move on to my personal favorite matchup.
Or
Our
Celtics.
Chicago Bulls against the Boston Celtics. Potential top 3 MVP finish, DeMar DeRozan. Our guy but I don't know, like we haven't seen DeMar DeRozan in a meaningful playoff series in a long time. And I'm just excited for that. And I personally think let's hear your take first on how the series goes.
I have Bulls in 7. I think it's going to be a very competitive series.
Okay.
But I do think the Bulls are going to be a lot better than they are right now. So right now, if we're talking about like the right now Bulls, right now Celtics, the Celtics are just coming off a 54-point Jason Tatum performance where they beat Kevin Durant and the Nets. Yeah, a 54-point performance where they coming off of Jason Tatum beating Kevin Durant and the Nets. Very great performance. They're storming up the standings. Derek White seems like the perfect player. The new defensive scheme where Robert Williams gets to play as a free safety rather than a one-on-one man defender, so much better. And it's definitely something fun to watch out for. But the Bulls are also adding Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. Their defense is going to improve a million times. Patrick Williams is potentially returning. And I just think the offensive firepower that this team has is just it's just going to edge the Celtics by a little bit because they're just going to have a little bit more playmaking in the half court. They're going to have a little better sets run, you know what I mean? And it's going to be very, very close, but it's just going to be a tiny, tiny margin. And the better player this season is DeMar DeRozan, and I think he's going to be able to get him through and get him this series win.
Yeah, Bulls in 7 sounds right to me. I want to say 6, but I don't know. The Celtics are kind of on the up, and the Bulls are kind of on the down a little bit. Like they were the 1 seed, but I mean they've been dealing with like Lonzo Ball's out, Zach LaVine had been out, right? Caruso. If they get fully healthy and they all get time to get acclimated, I can see the Bulls taking this in 6 just because they have so much offensive firepower. But Celtics have a lot of good 2-way players as well, so it will be a tightly contested series. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Bulls just because of their just offensive firepower. DeMar DeRozan, even though he can't really shoot the 3, even though he's shooting like almost 35% this year from 3.
This season,
Surrounded by shooting, surrounded by scoring is scary. And like you said, this year DeMar DeRozan is better than Jason Tatum, which is like not something I ever thought I would say.
Last year,
Last year I would have thought that was crazy, but this year it would be crazy to say that Jason Tatum is better than DeMar DeRozan. So yeah.
And I guess we could segue this right into the Bulls versus Heat. DeMar DeRozan versus Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, insane, right? We get first round we get Lowry versus Toronto. Second round we get Lowry versus DeMar, which, man, like if it goes down this way, so good for the fans.
Yeah, it's gonna be historic for Toronto fans and for Kyle Lowry. It's gonna be very, very emotional.
Yeah,
and I have him putting away the Bulls in 7. I think it's gonna be another close series. I just think Greg Spoelstra is the better coach. I think they both are going to be very, very, very good on paper. I think they match up well. They both have shooting, both have defenders. It's just you have like the offensive juggernaut of the Bulls versus like the well-rounded team, the oiled machine of the Heat.
Yeah.
And then it's just so competitive and so close that I'm going to give it to the coach. And I think Spoelstra's going to be able to get those easy points, easy buckets, easy half-court shots and their offensive scheme, where you can have Kyle Lowry scoring like 8 points one game and 25 the next game, it's just going to be too hard for the Bulls players to figure out come playoff time. And I think this versatility is going to help get the Heat into the conference finals.
Yeah, I agree with that because you got Jimmy Butler. You got Jimmy Butler guarding DeMar DeRozan, right, which is a good matchup there. You've got Bam guarding Vucevic, right?
Yeah.
So they just match up really well, and the Heat also have the depth, a lot of two-way players. I think I can see the Bulls winning this series, like if everything goes right for them, like especially offensively. Like Vucevic right now, like he's only shooting 30% from three on the season.
Yeah, if he comes
and
back
that's
to 40%.
his lowest in a long time. He was 39 last year, over 40 the year before. If he can get back to that and like actually like be the legitimate all-star caliber offensive threat that he can be, I can definitely see the offensive firepower being too much. But like I think, like you said, in a series this close, when you're playing each other 2 weeks straight, pretty much, coaching really, 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 really comes out on top in such a close series. So Heat in 7, you said 7, right?
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, Heat in 7 sounds right to me. I will agree with that. It makes me sad because I want DeMar DeRozan to win a championship, but I also want Kyle Lowry to win a championship, so I'm happy too.
Yeah, so it is what it is. Yeah, I think this one, most people are going to agree. Like, if you look at the Pats right now, most people are going to be like, yeah, the Heat are going to be the conference finals. But what everyone is going to debate about, I think if we can have a 50-50 split, is the Embiid versus Giannis matchup.
Yeah.
One of the, man, this is like, it reminds me of like the Tim Duncan Shaq matchup. Because you just have someone who's like fundamentally sound, like, you know, doing all this crazy stuff. And then you just have someone who's so dominant and like Embiid. It's just going to be such a fun, entertaining thing to watch. Last time they played each other, they both had crazy games. They both really can't contain one another. They're that good offensively.
Yeah.
Like even the best defender can't contain Embiid. Even the best defender can't contain Giannis. They're going to go crazy. And if you look at their other team now, it's going to be really James Harden's the third best player on the court.
Yeah.
But how much of an impact can Jrue Holiday have slowing him down? How much of an impact, you know, is Jrue Holiday really that guy where, you know, we're talking about him being an all-star level player, him being a defensive level player, defensive player of the year level player. Can you really have that impact and show that it's worth trading all those picks? Oh, it already is because he got one championship.
Yeah.
But is it like, am I still that guy? Can I actually get that second championship with you guys? Last playoff run, Jrue Holiday could have definitely done it because he was the best defender of all time. But we got to see. And then you also got to see Chris Middleton, the streakiest guy of all time. Michael Jordan one game, Lance Stevenson the next game, right? Can he string together consistency and actually play consistent, like, you know, amazing games where shooting because it's all needed? And then on the Sixers side, is there enough chemistry? Or is it gonna break down in the playoffs where it just goes to pick and roll, Harden and Embiid, and it becomes too simplistic and too easy to guard, right? Is there enough chemistry for the playbook to be fully developed and for Doc Rivers to make adjustments? Because Doc Rivers, he's a bad coach, man. Like at the end of the day, I know he's top 15 all time, but when it comes to playoffs, Doc Rivers lacks adjustment making, and it's cost them before. It's cost the Clippers before. It cost the Celtics, unless their first season where they won a championship, but it cost the Celtics. You know what I mean? It's a proven track record of not making adjustments. So I might have the conscience to take, and I'm going to go Bucks and 7.
Yeah. This series to me has 7 written all over it. I'm going to lean Bucks too, but this exactly, I can see this, like the series going, let's say that Giannis and Embiid just cancel each other out. They're awesome every game, right? The series is going to be Middleton drops, you know, he makes 7 threes one game. Then the next game, he doesn't really do anything offensively. Right?
Yeah.
Same with Holiday. And then I think you can rely on Harden to be consistent. But like you said, it's a question of everyone else on the Sixers. How well are they going to play together? No matter how good your top 2 players are, you need other guys to step up and have 20-point games in the playoffs. You just do. And the Bucks, we know that they have those guys. We know that Holiday can give you 20. We know that even like Bobby Portis can have like a really good game and could put up like 15, right? Like
Pat Connaughton.
Pat Connaughton, like Grayson Allen can hit a couple of threes. Like we know
Serge Ibaka.
Exactly. Like we know the Bucks can do those things. We're not going to have seen this Sixers team fully loaded for long enough in high pressure situations to know if they can do that. Yeah. So I'm not even saying because I do think Giannis is the better player than Embiid, but that's not the reason I'm really picking the Bucks. I just think for the exact reason you said, comes down to coaching, comes down to chemistry. We know the Bucks have that chemistry, and I think it's going to win out. Bucks in 7.
And Tyrese Maxey has scored 20 points ever since Harden has come, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also his first playoffs. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough for him.
Rookie.
Yeah. Well,
No, he's not a rookie. So his second year. It's his first playoff rookie.
First playoff rookie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tobias Harris sucks since James Harden has come. He's scoring like 9 points a game since James Harden has came. Like he sucks. So and like Tobias Harris swings together like 4 20-point games with James Harden there. I might change my opinion. You know what I mean? That's how close this is. But you know, with Tobias Harris sucking and Tyrese Maxey as a third option, rather than them both being like a 3A, 3B, I'm going with the Bucks. But if, you know, Tobias Harris is able to come back to the 20-point level and make it a 3A, 3B with him and Maxey, then I will lean towards the Sixers. But right now, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that of Tobias Harris. So I'm going Bucks in 7. And it's very fluid. It's very changeable.
Yeah, agreed. And that would lead us to Eastern Conference Finals of the Heat and Bucks, a matchup that we have seen multiple times before. One was a huge upset where the Bucks 2 years ago the Bucks were taken out by the Heat. That was in the bubble, right? That was in the bubble.
Yeah, the bubble.
Yeah, and then last year the Bucks took out the Heat. Was it a sweep or was it 5? I don't remember. 5 games. The Bucks Heat is
it's a rivalry.
I don't know. It's just one of those
one of
those rivalries. Yeah. We see it every year. And how do you think this plays out?
And so far, the winner of that matchup has made the finals,
right?
And we are predicting the winner of that matchup to make the finals again.
Yeah.
And as I said, I just think Giannis has evolved his game where he will get his teammates open. We'll find the playmaking. We'll find everything. And people are going to bring up stats like, oh man, like they've been a historically bad like defending champion team. If they're all 3 of the big 3s playing, they've been historically great. You know what I mean? They just had injuries where like 2 of them play or whatever like that. I just think as long as all 3 of them are healthy, they have enough shooting, it's going to be very competitive. It's going to be very close. But I just think Giannis's ability to shut down Bam, what Bam does, is going to be such a detriment to the Miami Heat and Drew's ability to shut down Kyle Lowry or maybe even Jimmy Butler, depending on whoever's going off. I think that defense and that one-on-one man defense, which is so useful in playoffs, is going to be very, very hurtful for the Heat system. But yeah, it's very close. I have another 7, Bucks and 7.
Bucks and 7 again. The reason I'm going to lean Bucks is just because I think they're more explosive offensively. I think the Heat, like you said, are like kind of that well-oiled Heat machine where everyone kind of chips in, does their thing. Obviously, we've seen Jimmy Butler have amazing playoff performances, 50-point games in the playoffs, 30, 40. But the Bucks are more explosive and they're more like we know. We've seen this Bucks recipe tested last year in the playoffs, and we've seen it work. That's why I'm going to lean them. I think the Heat are going to give them a lot of problems defensively. You talk about walls that you can build. Any wall that has Bam in it, I think, is maybe the best
wall right now. Best wall this year.
Yeah, so definitely not going to be easy. But like you said, Giannis has evolved his game so much. Just his playmaking, his IQ, he knows where to be. Like he knows when he should try to force himself, when he shouldn't. And he's just such a smart player now, not just an athlete. And that's kind of what has gotten into trouble in the past, especially in that embarrassing loss to the Heat. And I don't think we're going to see that again.
Yeah, and this will finally be the year. Like Giannis, sure, he got the championship last year, but there's so much buts and ifs. If he gets it this year, he's clearly eradicating that, and he's really going for the all-time great, trying to join them in top 10 all time.
Exactly. It's not really fair, but if Giannis wins the championship this year, suddenly it validates last year's championship too, right? Because some people put an asterisk on it. I don't, but some people do. But if he wins this championship, it's like, okay, he actually is the best player in the world, and like he won the championship, so that one counts too, you know? Yeah.
So we have the Bucks going back to the finals.
Yeah.
And we have the East potentially having the best playoffs of all time.
Like actually,
with the greatest second round of all time
Yeah.
and potentially one of the greatest first rounds of all time
Yeah.
with that Sixers Nets matchup. So
Yeah.
if this happens how it happened right now, where you have Lowry versus the Raptors, Simmons versus Embiid,
Yeah.
all 7-game series in the second round, 7-game series conference finals, it will be the best ever
It will. Yeah.
playoffs. But that's how it looks right now, man. That's how close and competitive the league is. And this is the beauty of having an NBA without a super team. We got to actually have multiple people have multiple opinions.
Yeah.
Unlike the Golden State years where it's like Golden State's winning unless they get hurt. It's very fun to see. It's very fun to talk about. I'm happy that we have it.
Yeah, same. Like you could tell me that you think the Bulls are going to win the championship. And I'm like,
I can believe you. Yeah.
I can see it. Okay, so let's move on to the West. The West is
different.
Very different.
Opposite.
Very, very different. So right now the 7, 8, 9, 10, Timberwolves 7, Clippers 8, Lakers 9, Pelicans 10. Let's start off with that Timberwolves Clippers matchup. Timberwolves are doing so, like this is the best they've done in a very long time. I don't think Towns is finally like maybe gonna get to play in a playoff series. We don't know.
Since the first time without Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. I just think like what is this Clippers team gonna look like by that time? I don't know. That's the question to me.
So right now we're just gonna assume Paul George and Kawhi Leonard is not playing, and maybe even Norman Powell is not playing because of that foot injury. So with those 3 guys out, they're a great team. They're hard. Reggie Jackson, you're amazing, but don't have them beating this Timberwolves. I think I have the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards and Karl Towns, those are the best 2 players on the court. And then it's a debate if D'Angelo Russell's the 3rd best player on the court. That's how much top end talent they have. At the end of the day, this Clippers team was never about winning a championship this year. It's about just getting better, getting chemistry together, getting your confidence up to help Kawhi Leonard and Paul George win the championship next year. Potentially the top 3 players are out. You'd have Kawhi 1, PG 2, and I would have Norman Powell as the 3rd best player on that team. That all 3 of them are out. So them being in plans is a round of applause itself. Yeah,
even if Paul George does play, I think I would take Timberwolves in this game. I just think Karl Towns going up against like whether it's Zubac or whoever, at the 5. I think that's just too much. And like you said, like there's just so much offensive, at least in the starting 5, there's so much offensive talent on this team. Defensively is definitely a question, but Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, like, man, there's just so much shooting, so much talent, so many guys who can score. So yeah, Timberwolves all the way for me. And that would lead us to the 9-10 matchup, which right now is the Lakers and the Pelicans. The Lakers are in the 9 seed. There is just a crazy amount of Russell Westbrook drama going on right now. I don't know, like what is going on?
LeBron had 56 yesterday.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is going to return. At the end of the day, LeBron and Anthony Davis, I love you, Pelicans, but unless Zion's coming back, which doesn't seem like it right now, everyone's going to have Lakers favored in this matchup. If you could pull up the upset of the year, wow. LeBron getting a little bit of play-ins would be amazing to see. Well, actually would not be amazing to see because I could just want to see a playoff series with LeBron, but it would be a shock to the NBA world. But yeah, I think it's crazy. I think it's ludicrous to say bet against LeBron.
I think even if Anthony Davis isn't back, if it's just LeBron, I'm taking the Lakers. Like LeBron is not losing a play-in game, and he is not losing a playing game to the Pelicans without Zion. Even if Zion is there, LeBron is not losing that game. Like I don't care what happens. That would be very fun. Very fun. Yeah. But yeah, LeBron is not losing that game. So that would lead us to the 1-8 matchup, which is a rematch of the 1-8 matchup. Actually,
so we're just assuming.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I literally skipped right over it. Yeah, my bad. So the Timberwolves are into the 7 seed. We got the
Clippers Lakers.
The Clippers Lakers, right? Yeah, I'm gonna take Lakers with LeBron playing. I skipped right over that.
It's funny how we have the battle of LA, except everyone's injured, and it's the 8-9 playing spot. But it's still the battle of LA. It's still gonna be fun. It's gonna be marketed. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah,
LeBron's probably gonna drop another 60 points, and it's gonna be one of the greatest things to watch. But we could go straight into the 1-8 rematch.
Rematch of last year's 1-8 matchup, right? It was 1-8 last year, or was it 2-7? 2-7. Suns Lakers. No shocker here, but I'm taking the Suns maybe in like 5, 6. I don't know.
I have to go in a 7 just because LeBron and
Really?
Anthony Davis. I think they're really
Yeah.
that good. Like, you know how good they are. And I think it goes to 7 if Russell Westbrook gets benched and
Mhm.
Frank Vogel isn't adamant about that. I think if you put Malik Monk, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, and you just run those 3 guys till the brakes falls off, I think they could be pretty damn good. But they have to go to a Raptors type rotation where the starters play 44 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, old guys like LeBron and Carmelo Anthony shouldn't do that during the regular season. So let's see if they can do it in the playoffs. Fragile guys like Anthony Davis shouldn't do it. But I think they will do it this play-ins and playoffs. And I think they'll put up a good fight. And I think they'll lose ultimately just because the Suns team is historically good.
So in this scenario, what status is Chris Paul when you're picturing this? 100%. Yeah.
I can't say 100% because someone
Yeah.
returning a week or 2 weeks before
Mhm.
thing is not going to be 100%. But I'm giving Chris Paul last playoff run Chris Paul because he had the same injury basically, right? So like an 85% Chris Paul, I think they're going to win, and I have them winning because of Chris Paul. I think he's able to control the game, you know, calm everyone down. The 3 games I'm giving to the Lakers is just purely LeBron's. Why I have him the second all time as greatest player all time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 3 games is a little aggressive, but LeBron is
That
like
good.
he is that good. He just dropped, what was it, 54 yesterday, 56 yesterday. Yeah, I just think the Suns have they're just too many guys. They're too well coached. They have
good defensively.
Too good defensively, too good offensively. They're just such a perfect basketball team. Like going back to the whole the parity in the NBA this year, there's no super team. A team like the Suns that doesn't have an MVP caliber player that can just play so well together and be so well coached and play such a good brand of basketball. The fact that like I just love that, and I think they would take this in 6. I think it could even be 5. I just think they're that good.
Yeah, probably the Suns are the closest thing to a super team right now.
Yeah, like actually,
like that's how good they're playing.
Yeah,
because they have 2 great all-star level players in CP3 and Devin Booker, and then they have 2 great defensive player of the year players in Ayton and Bridges. So they're a really fun team to watch. It's just I love LeBron, man. That's all I'm doing. I still have the Suns winning, and even though I love LeBron and like him a lot, I can't even give him the win. So let's just move on to the next one, which is Grizzlies versus Timberwolves.
Timberwolves, very interesting. What do you think about this?
Grizzlies in 4.
Grizzlies in 4, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go Grizzlies in 5, but Grizzlies are definitely winning the series. Best player on the floor, John Morant, easy.
John Morant, yeah. But I was just gonna say, Jaren Jackson is probably the worst player for Karl-Anthony Towns to go up against. Someone who's mobile as him, someone who can actually body up with him. Because you've seen him like even go against Embiid where he's a little bit more mobile. He just like blow buys Embiid and pulls up for like the jump shot. So like he does well against those shots. But Jaren Jackson is probably the only person who's as mobile as him and as strong as him to get blocks and everything. And just once you not eliminate, but once you reduce Karl-Anthony Towns' impact, this team really crumbles on itself. And Anthony Edwards is going to be the next guy that looked up. I think he's going to have great offensive performances. But I think the combination of like doing a Dillon Brooks on him, Desmond Bane, and a Kyle Anderson, like just switching up the looks on him is going to be tough for him because he has to. Kyle Anderson, okay, I have to blow by him. Dillon Brooks, okay, I have to do a little in and out moves. Desmond Bane, I have to shoot over him. Like you just have to do so much, and he's gonna have to constantly be adjusting what he does. It's gonna be tough for him. And at the end of the day, this Timberwolves team has a great 1-2-3, but they need to be filled out and have better fit next to them, which is just not this season. I think they just can't run with these Grizzlies, man.
That's insane to say. Like the fact that we're so confident in the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's how much they improved.
Like it's insane. And like looking at it on paper, like if you look at this team on paper, like last year, you wouldn't really think that. It's just that's how much they've all improved, especially John Morant. So when you brought up Jaren Jackson, do you think Steven Adams is playing at all? Or
no. Steven Adams is playing how he plays now. Like he plays like the first he plays like 6 minutes, 5 minutes, and all he's doing is he's just gonna be leaning on Karl-Anthony Towns. He's gonna give some fouls, maybe like get him to the free throw line if he's going hot or whatever. And obviously Jaren Jackson's also someone who gets a little foul trouble himself. so he'll come in there and reduce some time there, so Jaren can play the fourth couple minutes. It's just they have so much flexibility where if you
Yeah.
you want Jaren at the 5, go for it.
Yeah.
Come in Brandon Clark, come in Xavier Tillman. Oh, Jaren's getting a little foul trouble. All right, come in Steven Adams. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of this team. They can do
Yeah.
everything. This is
Yeah.
team basketball, and I love to see it, man.
Yeah.
I love this team because of how they play.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And I think you want to make Karl Anthony Towns work, right? I want to think you want to make him work hard. And I think the way to do that too is like, let's say you play Jaren Jackson at the 5 and you make Karl Anthony Towns come out there, right? And try to guard him because he's a shooter. I think the more you can make him work on the defensive end, the harder he's going to be more tired. Like it's going to be just a harder experience for him overall. But do you think they're sweeping, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just don't think they have a defensive option. Like we talk about
no, they don't.
all this defensive options for the Timberwolves, like getting guarded, right? We talk about Anthony Edwards, who's guarding those. Who in their right mind is guarding John Morant? Patrick Beverly,
yeah.
Great defender 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Really good defender now, but yeah, John Morant's cooking him. And it's just so much guys on this team have made the jump together. Desmond Bane's become a great starter. Jaren Jackson's become a great starter. John Morant is the most improved in MVP conversation. All these guys just made a jump together, and they just moved into that contender echelon, and they're going to beat this team.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that moves us to the 3-6, which is Warriors Nuggets. Now, the Nuggets are another team. We don't know what they're going to look like come this time because right now I'm taking Warriors easy as much as I love Jokic, but if we get MPJ back and MPJ is playing like at a decent level and he's decently durable, and Jamal Murray comes back from that ACL and he's playing kind of like himself, man, like this team they know how to play together. They've done it for years now. I think like the fully healthy Nuggets, I like better than this Warriors team. As good as the Warriors are, I just love the Nuggets that much. I don't know. Like, it's just hard to assume. Like I'm going to take the Warriors because I think that those injuries are just too much of a question mark, but I'll go Warriors in 6 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have Warriors in 6 as well. But I'll say this right now. If we're considering a fully healthy Nuggets teams, I'm winning the championship. I think they could do
100% Nuggets. Yeah, I agree.
I think they could go all the way. I think they have enough shooting. I think Jokic is insane. Like people throw doubles at him. Throw a double at him when Jamal Murray and MPJ is on the court. Yeah, they're gonna go insane. I have them winning the championship if they all come back healthy and are able to play at 100%. But at the end of the day, no player has returned like mid-season from those injuries and played at 100%. They're going to be back, Jamal Murray and MPJ, but they're not going to be 100% Jamal Murray and 100% MPJ. And for that reason, I don't think they're going to win the championship. But it's the odd chance, Kevin Durant was like, he kind of started off like the season really hot and he was able to come back from the injury 100%. But he could have probably returned in the bubble. And he chose to wait another little extra time, right? So mid-season injuries, I can't really think anyone off the top of my mind who's like returned mid-season and been 100%. So it's tough. It sucks to say, but I probably would have to go to the Warriors. Another interesting thing to see about them is if they don't have Draymond Green, who's expected to make a return March 22nd, I think, like mid-March or late March, he's supposed to make a return. That sucks for them if he's not, but if he does, he hasn't played since Clay's back. So this Warriors team sort of come way, way better.
Yeah. Agreed. Like you said, like we've never really seen someone come back from an injury like that and be 100%, but they have 2 guys, right? So even if both of them are like 80%, 85%, I think having 2 guys, even if they can just make open shots, even if they're 85%, Jokic can just find them. I think that'll take maybe some of the pressure off of like each one individually. But yeah, I agree. The Warriors, just because of the injuries, I'm gonna go Warriors in 6. But yeah, man, if we can get Murray and MPJ back for a playoff series, wow,
it'll be fun.
Because this season wasn't a write-off, but like no one was really expecting the Nuggets to make too much noise because of these injuries. And if they can get into a series now, and we just know they're going to be 100% next year, right? I'm like day one next year. I'm taking the Nuggets to win, win the West. Like
I was taking them this year. I said I've always been about it. Jamal Murray's back and MPJ's back, they could win the championship.
Yeah.
And if they come back and beat the Warriors, it would be so historic.
Oh my
Because
God.
every single social media,
Oh
big
yeah.
platform, Stephen A. Smith wants the Warriors to win the championship because they bring in the most money besides the Lakers, who 100% aren't winning a championship. So
Yeah.
it would be fun to see the media, media darling Steph
Mhm.
Curry and the Warriors get knocked off by Nikola Jokic and the advanced stats nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most disrespected team by big media, maybe outside of our Raptors. I don't know.
On par.
Maybe it's
On par.
probably on par. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is crazy because they have Jokic, who is a top
MVP.
3 player in the league, and he's an MVP candidate. So
Yeah.
Okay, so the last first round matchup we have is the Jazz and the Mavericks. Is it going to be the same old Rudy Gobert story?
Yeah, I'm team hate Rudy Gobert. Team Rudy Gobert hasn't showed improvements. Rudy Gobert hasn't gotten better. So I have Luka Doncic absolutely exposing him. Luka Doncic, the last 2 playoffs, had amazing playoff suns, and he was guarded by Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Yeah.
Now he's getting guarded by Bogdanovic and Royce O'Neal and Daniel House. Yeah, Luka Doncic dropping 60 a game. I'm having Luka Doncic going through, and Spencer Dinwiddie. What happened to this guy, bro? He's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This guy got traded to the Mavericks and is literally amazing. 6th man of the year since traded to the Mavericks. He's number 1. If we're only considering post All-Star break, he's number 1. Like, that's how good he's been. Now you just have him, Brunson, and Dinwiddie, like, all attacking Rudy Gobert. I like that, man. Give me the Mavs in like 6. Donovan Mitchell's good enough to get them 2.
Exactly. I think the Mavs are going to have trouble. I think guarding the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell's so good, and they're so well coached, and they have so many guys. I mean, like, they're obviously facing some injury trouble with Joe Ingles, but like, I don't know. I think they're still going to be good offensively. Just this has Luka Doncic one-man show just written all over it. Like you said, every year he goes up against Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. In the playoffs. Every year.
Best
he's going to be playing in the playoffs. He's going to walk into this playoff series and be like, I'm being guarded by Royce O'Neal and Bogdanovic, Daniel House, and I can like get a Rudy Gobert switch like out on the perimeter. I'm like he's going to eat. I don't care if no one else on the Mavs hits a shot. Like, Luka Doncic can probably win this by himself because he is just his eyes are going to light up when he sees these matchups he's going to be getting.
He almost beat Kawhi and Paul George by himself.
Yeah.
Let's be real. If Kawhi and Paul George didn't get hurt last year, they're probably champions. At least a lot of people think that. I don't. I think Giannis would won still, but you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's going to feast, man. And I'm so happy to see it because people underestimate how good Kawhi and Paul George are on defense. And when Luka Doncic is dropping 60 a game, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, Kawhi's amazing. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah. Okay, so we both had Mavs. Did you say a number?
6,
I didn't
5.
either. Yes. Oh, you said 6. Yeah, I'll say 6 too.
Yeah.
I think we've agreed on every outcome so far, except I took the Nets over the Sixers. Yeah. Okay, so that takes us into the second round. Let's start with the 1-4. Like the winner of the. So that would lead us to Suns versus Mavs. Yeah, in the second round.
Suns in 5.
Yeah, I'll take Suns in 5 too. They're just
Luka
Doncic is going to be. I mean, like, he's still not going against he's going with. Like,
I think he might be. Bridges might be better than Clippers Kawhi and Clippers PG defensively.
Maybe
like Raptors and Spurs Kawhi is obviously an all-time great defender, has a defensive player of the year. But Clippers Kawhi is definitely slowed down with the injuries. Especially he played through that whole Raptors run on one leg, which definitely cost him, made his Achilles hurt, and it was evident as his Achilles his ACL got sprained and missed this whole season. But this Mikal Bridges is defense player of the year.
Yeah, no, agreed. And DeAndre Ayton's a little different than Rudy Gobert in terms of mobility and switching. So I think Luka Doncic is going to have a much, much harder time scoring against the Suns team. And then when you just look at all the offensive firepower that the Suns have, how well they play together as a team, again, how well they're coached, how many options they have, it's just going to be too much for this Mavs team. And like you said, the Suns are kind of the super team this year. So I don't really think the Mavs have a chance. I can see it being a sweep. we'll give Luka Doncic one game and make it 5, but for all those reasons, yeah, I think Suns in 5. Gentleman's
agree.
sweep, we'll call
I
it.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to Grizzlies and
Warriors.
Yeah.
Warriors in 7. The only reason I'm giving to them is experience. I think they're both evenly matched up. Both have great shooters. Both have an MVP point guard. Both have defensive anchors in Jaren Jackson and Draymond Green. Both have great depth. Both have great coaching. Both have great shooting. Both have everything. Both have defensive switchability. Both have variability, versatility. They have everything. I'm just going experience. Only reason.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Warriors. I'm gonna go Warriors in 6 too. I just think all the experience, all that chemistry. Let's assume that Draymond is back and fully ready to go.
Same.
Assume these Warriors have been playing together for so long. Steph Curry as good as John Morant is, I just, like you said, this is going to be their first time in a real playoff series. This is going to be the Grizzlies' first time, and it's just Steph Curry. He's going to win the series, and I don't think there's any chance of them losing. So I'll go Warriors in 6.
Yeah, same. There's nothing else really to say.
And there's nothing else to say. So that brings us to Suns Warriors Western Conference Finals. That is so tough. I honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna go Suns in 7. I think
there's been one guy consistently beating Chris Paul, and he's gonna stay consistently beating Chris Paul. And I'm going Warriors in 7. I just think they're a little more. I just think no one's seen them. The second Clay returned, Draymond got hurt, and I just think
that's
with all this depth they got, they're just gonna be they're so good defensively already. They're the best defensive team, and that's with Draymond missing like half the season.
Yeah,
like it's crazy, bad.
Yeah, I think 7 games. This has 7 written all over it, I think, and then maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but maybe you're right, because like you think about a 1 game winner takes all game 7.
Splash Brothers.
You got to go with Steph, but I do think the Suns are the better team overall. But maybe when it comes down to a 7-game series, maybe you just give it to the best player and the most explosive player, one of the best players of all time, and Steph Curry. I don't know.
And I think DeAndre Ayton's gonna have trouble playing, like being on the court with this. That small ball lineup, is deadly of the Warriors.
Yeah.
I just think, man, like this Warriors team is just, they're back. Splash Brothers plus the number 1 defense. I have them coming out the West.
Wow. Okay. I don't disagree. The Suns, man. Maybe I just want Chris Paul to win it, to get to the final and win a championship so badly. I don't know, but no, I can see it. I can see it. Okay, so I guess we have 2 final scenarios to talk about. So number 1 would be a rematch of last year's finals, Bucks Suns. If it is Bucks Suns, what do you say?
I'm going Bucks.
Me too.
I have Giannis getting his 2nd championship. I just think that it's going to be similar to last season. Obviously, Chris Paul's going to be a little bit better and everything like that, but I think Drew Holiday is going to hit a better shot. I think Chris Middleton's going to be more consistent. I think they have that monkey off their back. Giannis is just able to dominate like he did last year. He dropped, he was averaging like 30, 15, like 8 in the finals. Like he's crazy. And I think he would get his 2nd ring if it's the Suns in the finals.
I agree. I'm going to go Bucks in 7. I think the Suns team is going to put up a really good fight. All those reasons you listed, Ayton, Bridges, that's a pretty decent wall in itself, right, against Giannis. So, but I'm going to go Bucks in 7. If it is Suns Warriors, I'm also going to go Bucks in 7. Or Bucks Warriors, I think I'm also going to go Bucks in 7.
Same.
I don't think anyone on that Warriors team can handle Giannis. They don't, like Draymond is awesome, be good. Don't get me wrong. He's really good. Yeah. But at this point in his career, he's not one-on-one. He's not Bridges. And they don't have that Ayton body, right? So, I don't know.
I think the rebounding would just hurt the Warriors. I think a lot of second chance points will come through. And I think Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's historic shootings will be able to keep them in it and push them to a 7-game series. But I think the rebounding, so it's going to cost them a championship. And I could see them losing via rebounding and going and getting a big center by trading Wiseman and Kuminga in the offseason. But I just think the lack of rebounding, the lack of not getting a Miles Turner this offseason, this trade deadline will cost them. And I think they will use to Giannis in the finals.
Bucks are just too big. They just got too many big guys. And like, as I do think the Bucks match up against the Warriors offensive players better than the Warriors defenders match up against the Bucks. Like Drew Holiday's a great defender. He's not going to shut down Steph Curry by any means, but he's going to do the best job he can.
Yeah.
And like Steph Curry is someone we've seen, like the Raptors at least expose them a little bit in
Box and
the
one.
finals. We saw the
Yeah.
box and one. Yeah, and then even like defensively, we've seen Kyle Lowry like posting him up sometimes, right, and scoring. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just think the Bucks are a little more of a two-way team, a little more like each player can guard and each player's big and can rebound and can shoot. So that's kind of why I take them. And
Yeah.
like you said, they're not very big, especially if they're running that small ball lineup consistently with Draymond. Like they're gonna get killed on the glass,
On the boards.
and
Yeah.
in the paint. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
we kind of agree. Giannis is about to get a second ring.
Yeah.
Crazy to say.
Wow. Crazy to say, because when you go into every matchup, that makes sense to me. It seems like the most likely scenario. But like, if you just ask me who's going to win the championship this year, I would probably I don't disagree with Bucks, but like I would, yeah, right.
I'll probably go Warriors because the East is so hard to predict the winner that I'll just be like, oh man, they just have to kind of beat the Suns, the Warriors, like confident they can beat everyone else, that they could get there. So if you ask me right now who's going to win the championship, I go Warriors. Or if you break it down matchup by matchup, I have the Bucks winning.
Yeah. Say it's the Heat in the finals.
I have the Warriors winning. Yeah, I have the Warriors winning. Yeah. And if it's like even the 76ers, I have the Warriors winning just because.
Really, you don't think the same size thing applies in that matchup too with Embiid?
Embiid is not someone who just brings the ball up and,
true,
does everything that Giannis does, right? Giannis does it from both ends of the courts, like fully, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think like you could like front him, like Draymond Green's gonna be smart enough where he could like try to restrict the ball movement to Joel Embiid, and they're gonna encourage James Harden to shoot because they're a sneaky team like that. They're gonna be like, all right, come on, shoot. And Klay Thompson, he's been pretty historically good at guarding James Harden.
Is that a lot to ask of him though in his first season back after 2 years? Guard James Harden. I guess it's the finals, right? You can't like.
It's the finals. He was wanted to play on a broken one leg. He said, "Let me tape it up and play." So on both legs, he'll do whatever is possible. And All-Star Andrew Wiggins, hey, he might have some turn too.
Yeah. He might. But that pretty much does it. I guess the Bucks are winning their second straight championship, and Giannis his resume just goes from historically great to like
top
maybe
10.
like top 10 of all time.
Maybe.
Like crazy. But yeah, obviously this is very subject to change. So we will see what happens. This was a pretty long one. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We'll be back next week, like we always are, to talk more basketball. You can check us out in the meantime on all our socials: Instagram at Stars to Floor Podcast, YouTube SCF Clips. Most importantly, subscribe, like to the podcast feed wherever you get them. Leave a like, rating, review, because it all really helps. Thank you again, and we will see you next week.